بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Brothers and sisters, we continue our book Riyad-us Saliheen by Imam Nawawi rahmatullah alayh. This is the 46th chapter of the book, and the chapter is with regards to excellence and the etiquettes of sincere love for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So for the past week or so, we have been speaking on multiple aspects of how do we love one another for the sake of Allah, how do we express our love for the sake of Allah, and how the Nabi of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam within his own lifetime interacted with Sahaba, or how the Sahaba interacted with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, showcasing that love that they had for one another only and solely for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is the final hadith of the chapter, and inshallah we'll continue from the book. The next chapter will be from the chapter of the Alamati Hubbi Ta'ala Hil Abd, signs of Allah's love for His slaves and their achievements. So this is the next chapter that inshallah will begin tomorrow evening. But the last hadith of the chapter is when Anas radiyallahu anhu أن رجلا كان عند النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فمر به فقال يا رسول الله إني لا أحب هذا. Anas radiyallahu anhu reports, and he mentions that a man was with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam while another person, فَمَرَّ بِهِ, another individual walked in front of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and that man that were standing together. So the Nabi of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and this one person is standing together, another individual walks in front of them. So the person who is standing next to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, فَقال, he says to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, فَقال يا رسول الله إني لأحب هذا. Oh, the Nabi of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I love this man. He's a genuine person. He's a good person, meaning a person with good akhlaq, manners, and all the good qualities. The Nabi of Allah, he said, Ya Rasulullah, I love this individual. When he said this, فَقَالَ لَهُ النَّبِيَّ صَلَى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم أَعْمَلْتَهُ, have you informed him about this? Have you told him? Does he know? Or have you told him that you have this love for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? قال, he said, no, Ya Rasulullah. This is between me and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I've never really asked him or told him that this is, what I feel. At this moment, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam tell him that your love for him is only for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inform him. So he went and he says, فَقَالِ إِنِّي, so he went up to this man and he says, قَالِ إِنِّي أُحِبُّ فِي اللَّهِ, that indeed I have love for you only for the sake of Allah. So this man, subhanAllah, was also a Sahabi. He was a learned individual. And he gave a reply, which is the reason why Imam Nawawi rahmatullah alayhi brings this hadith, is for us to learn what is the reply. So this man says, أَحْبَبَكَ الَّذِي أَحْبَبْتَنِي فِي إِلَّهُ. He said, may Allah, for whose sake you love me, love you as well. Meaning, rather than returning his words of love as well, he says, may the one for whose sake you love me, love you too. Meaning, may Allah love you for the reason that you love me. Meaning, this is the highest level of dua that you can make for someone, is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala begins to love a servant. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala begins to love an abd or servant of his. That's one of the greatest aspects of our lives, is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can truly can become beloved in that person's eyes, or that person can become the mahbub of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They can become the beloved of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this hadith teaches us a great adab, a great etiquette, that when if someone shares that they love someone for the sake of Allah, your reply to them should be, may the one for whose pleasure you love me, meaning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, love you as well. Meaning, may the love of Allah be bestowed upon you for your graciousness, for your kindness that you have shown towards us. So again, my respected brothers and elders, mothers and sisters in Islam, for the past few weeks we have been discussing ikhlas and sincerity in our relationships. And again, and I know it's a very harsh statement, but I think it's important for me to say for myself and all of us, that slowly a time has come, or it's coming towards the time of Qiyamah, that our relationships will only become for reasons and needs and wants and desires. It will only be so that how I can benefit from the presence of that individual. Ikhlas, muhabbat, and love will slowly deteriorate from the hearts of individuals. So we always need to remind ourselves that when we speak to someone, we meet someone, we know someone, or we have some close relationship, that our love for them is only for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If Allah allows us to benefit from one another, from our presence, that Allah has given everyone skills in many ways, and we are a source of khair for one another. But that should never be the reason of our meeting and reading and our love for the sake, only and solely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If Allah makes us a means of khair for one another, alhamdulillah, that's a blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But that should not be the ultimate purpose of saying salam to someone. That should not be the ultimate reason of greeting someone, is that I can benefit from that person's presence. It should only be for the pleasure of Allah. We need to remind ourselves again and again, and inshallah when the muhabbat comes only for the pleasure of Allah, then these are the individuals who will be gifted the place beneath the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah give us tawfiq and ability to practice, inshallah. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanakallah wa bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha